if you're actually able to, drive around your area and build a substantial targeted list of these dilapidated properties, you have a much higher chance of, that leading to a potential deal.
Their wholesale fees, they're making six-figure deals like out there, where over here it's very rare. Honestly, I feel like for everything, even rentals, just start in your own backyard. And then if you want to branch out, if you have the systems in place, then go for it.
But who doesn't like the idea of laying down on the beach, getting a call, locking up a deal, making 50 grand?
Yeah.
That's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, great life right there. Welcome back to the Investor Unite podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
If you are looking to ignite your real estate investing, then join us at Investors Unite. Also, before we jump into today's video, sneak peek, it is just Stephanie and myself. We don't have a guest today, and it feels a little bit odd being on this side of the table. But I would like to tell you guys to please subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. We were trying to get to that 1,000 marker. We do have some surprises coming up once we get there. So can't wait to reveal what that would be.
Yep. And if you guys have any real estate deals within the central PA area, whether that's single family or multifamily, just let us know. We'll make sure to leave an email down below so you can reach out to us and we can see if we'll be the buyers for it or if you need help and we can help you JV it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, leave a comment, too, with any questions that you might have that we haven't answered yet on the podcast. We're always looking to interact with our guest as much as possible. So please feel free and ask away.
And on today's episode, what are we talking about?
Dude, you feel so much taller than me. I hate it. Promise I'm taller.
You'll see it in the wide camera.
Oh, that's true. Does she look taller? Same?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's the hat.
Maybe. On today's episode, we are going over how to pick the market in which you are going to invest in.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a couple different options when you want to get started as a real estate investor. As you know, there is hundreds and thousands of markets throughout the United States, obviously. We're going to go over the pros and cons of investing in your actual area, right in your backyard, or if it's right for you to branch out onto one of those other markets. Yeah, exactly. There was a David Green book, actually, about this. Do you remember what the title of that was?
I don't know.
It was... Yeah, I don't even know why I brought it up.
But yeah, I mean, starting from the beginning, like when you started wholesaling, did you start within your own backyard before you even partnered? Or did you branch out right away?
No, of course. I started right in my backyard. So getting started into it, I knew that, as you know, we're looking at Harrisburg, obviously, and I know Harrisburg extremely well as it like being a decent market to start out in. I mean, there's a surplus of homes all over the place, plenty of that are dilapidated, not taken care of, not kept up with, so I knew that was a great place for me to start personally. And I also already did have some connections within my community of other investors or agents as well who could help me out when I had questions. So I started out in my backyard. It took a little while to actually get that first one closed, and it wasn't until we had actually partnered up. Yeah. But yeah, how about you?
I started, within like Harrisburg, but then I did like start pulling lists out in New Jersey and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, it's a hot market. You never know.
As an agent, right? Or as a looking to invest for wholesale. Okay.
Yeah, but nothing ever panned out about.
Oh, right, because as an agent, your license is only for that makes sense.
But yeah, that's the only time I was like, let me just try out New Jersey and maybe Maryland too. I can't remember. Maybe I dabbled with Maryland a little bit, but I mean, once we partnered, we figured out like we know Harrisburg, we know street by street, like this is good.
You knew certain areas better than I did. I knew certain areas better than you did. So.
I personally can't say which street like is good and which isn't. I can, like as a realtor.
Yeah. But oh, you're saying like legally you're not allowed to?
You're not. Yeah, you can't.
That's
really
crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you just got to tell your client like you have to do your own research and stuff. Reach out to the county or whatever.
Drive through the area, talk to neighbors, right? See how it is. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, like you said, I mean, when we got started, we did start in our own backyard.
Yeah.
What are some of the pros you believe to starting in your own backyard versus another state or market?
Yeah. So, like I was saying, number one, we know street by street. So, it helps when we're running comps for comparables and stuff like that. Another pro is, if you are looking, I would say for the rental side of things, like with us self-managing,
oh, absolutely.
Makes it a lot easier where we can just pull up 10, 15 minutes, however far the property is, it's right there. So that's a pro.
It's called long distance investing, by the way.
You were thinking about it this whole time.
It just clicked. I don't know why, but
in regards to wholesaling, this is a great pro, is in-person appointments. I know everyone's talking about virtual wholesaling, this.
Get it locked up over the phone.
Yeah, easy, lock it up at the beach and stuff. But when you have in-person appointments, you can build a connection so much more deeper with the seller. They know that you're honest, you're a true person.
Yeah.
And typically you can get deeper discounted deals that way.
It's true. And you're able to build better rapport just simply based off of having the same experiences as them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you went to the same high school as them, you may know people that were in their grade. Like even myself and you, I mean, we're substantially younger than a majority of these sellers, but we have parents and uncles and grandparents that have all been through, our community. So it's actually not as hard to find somebody that you can connect with through a third party.
Yeah, we had someone, it was our 4 unit. When we were at the closing table, he told me that the seller's stepson or something like that was our principal. And
Mr. Lindsay. Yes.
So it's a small world, and that's just another rapport building factor.
Yeah, and the one deal that we're doing right now, that wholesale deal on 18th Street, the guy ended up going to school with my uncle, and turns out he was one of his best friends growing up. Yeah, and he moved away for 8 years and came back, and he's been trying to reconnect with some of that friend group. And I was like, oh, I can put you back in touch with my uncle. Blah blah blah. Y'all can do whatever.
Yeah, so it helps so much more. So compared to
just for example, that property we got under contract for $90,000, but we built such a good relationship with him that he had other offers at 110 to 115 that he still turned down just because of the relationship that we had built and that trust.
And just that compared to someone calling online, there's no way. Just that relationship.
You can't do that.
No.
I mean, unless you're, what's the guy's name?
No.
The number one cold caller. You know what I'm talking about. He worked with SB Delete. He was friends with Liam.
Yo, that's going to bother me.
Yeah, what is his name, bro? He's great on the phone. He
has an accent.
He does. He can make you feel like you're a buddy already, initially off the cuff.
Gosh darn it, that's gonna bother me.
I know it is. Not many people have that kind of skill level where they're able to hop on the phone with a complete stranger and then 5 minutes later feels like you've known this person your entire life.
Yeah.
So definitely staying within your own market, your own community, your own backyard is a huge bonus when it comes to building trust like that.
Yeah. Do you know of any other pros that you would say?
Networking. So obviously, if you want to get into investing, whether you want to own rental properties, do flips, do wholesaling, it's always important to network. So going to your local investment meetups, whatever else, Facebook groups, friend of friends, friend of parents, whatever situation you may have, you're gonna be surrounding yourself with people who are very familiar with the market that you want to work in. So if you need to build a buyer's list, it's 10 times easier than saying, I'm Joe Schmo from blah, blah, blah county. Is there any buyers out there? And then they can look back and see oh, you live 5 states away. How good is your deals actually going to be? And once again, just comes back to that building with trust. So networking is definitely a huge one. Having those connections can jump you exactly how to say that. Give you a big step forward when you're starting out. Yeah. What else? Contractors. I mean, if you are doing fix and flips, it's extremely hard to manage and be a project manager of any
virtually.
Yeah, virtually. It's nearly impossible. I mean, you're putting your all trust into somebody that you don't even know, honestly. Where if you're actually able to drive to these properties and check on the progress and meet with your contractors on a daily or weekly basis, you're able to make sure that your properties are getting done and understanding that what they're saying is true. Right. So
I think that kind of sums it up with the pros. I don't know if I could.
I'm honestly sure there's a lot more. I mean, like you said, being a property management, it's 10 times easier to do it when you can just drive 10 minutes down the road to your rental property.
Money.
Yeah, exactly. Fix flips, wholesales. As far as wholesales go, driving for dollars, that's a huge list that you're able to pull. Very niche targeted list. And if you were doing it virtually, the only way you can do it is Google Maps, and that's not always 100% accurate, and it's a lot harder to tell the situation and condition of that property just through a screen and a picture that you hope is updated.
It could be from 2 years ago. Or
exactly. Typically they have the year stamped at the bottom, but still, you know what I mean? If you're actually able to, drive around your area and build a substantial targeted list of these dilapidated properties, you have a much higher chance of, that leading to a potential deal.
Yep.
So that's a huge bonus.
For example, the deal we're working on right now, Bainbridge. Yeah. Like, we ran into the scenario. So, like, if we were to do this deal virtually, like, say we weren't in the state of PA, we were in Maryland, or however further out, like, the deal wouldn't have worked with the buyer we had. So basically, just for the audience to know, that we got this deal. It's basically a land deal. It does have a trailer on it, but it's 100% knocked down. Like,
the trailer's already knocked down.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So it was a cold call lead. I followed up with the guy, and I never went out to it, but I was like, we can still get this locked up. We didn't really know what we could sell it for, but
I went out to the property.
That was after the fact we got locked up.
Yeah, that was after we got locked up. Just had pictures for marketing.
Yeah, so we were like, we don't know, but it's cheaper. The price we had it locked up at was cheaper than the assessed value. So we were like, this could be a deal.
It should be a deal.
Right. So then you went out, got photos, was like, this is just land.
Yeah.
And then we just started marketing out on Facebook Marketplace. So you can find good buyers that way.
Yeah. Now, I believe the point that you're leading to here is that the buyer that we had actually come across, he's the one who offered the closest value to the amount that we were asking.
Yeah.
Now, he's one of those old school kind of guys where he only conducts business in person. Like, over the phone, whatnot, I can tell him, like, exactly where I grew up. I can try to build as much rapport as possible, but he's just one of those old school dudes who's like, I'm not doing business till I meet you. Yeah. It's like, okay, imagine this deal was a couple states over. You're like, I'm not going, out of my way to that degree for $4,000, $5,000, right? It's like, okay, maybe some people would, because that sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
It flies by like this, trust me. Especially in this business.
Taxes
alone, yeah. But no, that's just another perfect example of where being within your local market definitely adds an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that just made me think of that.
No, it's very true. It's a good point there. Cons of your local market, do you have any?
I would say for a person, let's say, that lives in the middle of nowhere, and you're trying to wholesale within your small city. So let's say it's just Halifax isn't too bad. People, I guess, outside of PA wouldn't really know. But, like, what's that one, that mobile home we were working with?
Which one?
With the guy that gave us the cookies.
Oh, no. You're talking about, it's right out near Lucas, Coreyville.
So that's, like, middle nowhere, farmland area.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just wholesale.
Speaking of which, that's where Josh grew up at.
Oh,
right, 717.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can't just wholesale there. Like, you can branch out, but, like, it just all depends. So, like, sometimes within your area, you're kind of capped at a type of wholesale fee that you can make. So, like, I feel like within, let's say, Dauphin County or, like, Harrisburg area, roughly around that 10 to 12,000 mark of average.
Yeah.
Whereas if we get into, like, I have a friend out in Seattle, Washington, their wholesale fees, they're making 6-figure deals, like, out there, where over here it's very rare.
Yeah. I feel like that's also just because of how much more expensive that market is.
Yeah, it's all about price.
Exactly, right? Where it's like, if you were to say, here's $100,000 house, it's not 10% off, so you go down to $90,000. Over here, like, that's actually kind of a big deal. Like, $10,000 that the seller's missing out of, they might not follow through with you. Where if you're in a deal that's like $5.5 million and you're like, I need to drop it down $10,000, it's like, okay, I don't care about that at all. So that's when you can start adding larger margins into it.
Yeah, so I think that's a big factor, just your wholesale spread. So if you're looking for a bigger spread, like, you want to make more money but do less, then maybe a bigger market that has that higher price point would be good.
That's true.
Whereas, like, a medium-term market where we're at, we have to do more deals to be able to reach the number that we want.
Right. Another con that I was kind of just thinking of as you were talking is the amount of competition. Mm-hmm. Now, Harrisburg is not that well known.
Yeah.
Whenever you're asking the general public, in terms of investing, Harrisburg's actually pretty freaking well known. Even Grant Cardone at one point went and made his list of like top cities to invest in. I think Harrisburg was number 2, which is absolutely ridiculous, but
crazy.
It's due to the cash flow and appreciation. We got the best of both worlds here, which is absolutely amazing and we're blessed to have. But there's also an influx of competition then that comes along with it, where there's only so many houses within, Dauphin, Cumberland, Lebanon, Lancaster County.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a lot. But at the same time, when you have people who are doing 10,000 calls a day at a single business and you have 30 of those businesses, these homeowners are getting blown up like on a daily basis. So it makes it a lot more difficult for somebody like you and me who are still freshly getting started to actually make some kind of dent in this market, which we still, thank God, have been able to do. And we're growing slowly but surely. But that's definitely a con. Like if you're not experienced and you haven't been in this business for a while and you're jumping into one of those major markets where there are a lot of big name brand companies, it's going to be harder for you to close that first deal most likely.
Yeah.
Once you do find one, it's going to be easier to dispo it though.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like those are definitely cons in regards to wholesaling. In regards to now, what came to my mind was flipping.
Mm-hmm.
So like flipping in certain areas, not talking about virtual. I guess this may be a little bit off topic, but like,
okay, go ahead, spin it.
But like flipping in the city versus flipping in the suburbs, and flipping in the city could be good. Like in Philadelphia, like people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The city or New York. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But what we realized, like we did a flip out on the hill. Yeah, out on the hill over there. And people flip over there, which is cool. I
don't know if there's any other flips on that road. I think we were the first one to go for it.
But we realized that like after we did the flip, like we put it on the market and everything, that's a rentals market.
It is.
People aren't coming to Harrisburg to buy within that city, that part of the city, Allison Hill.
Yeah.
And more so like Midtown Harrisburg.
Yeah.
So like even just choosing, that's where it comes back to knowing your street by street.
Yep.
So it's a pro knowing your backyard street by street. And yeah, that kind of messed us up. But we're able to rent it out for $1,900 a month.
Right, exactly. And I mean, we only tried to sell it for $145. I believe that was, or $140. I think we had a list at $139.9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And appraised for $145.
Right. So any other investor from a larger metro hear those numbers and be like, dude, are you kidding me? That's 1.5%. Like, who wouldn't buy that deal?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. And it's like, to an outsider, I can understand where they look on a map and see what kind of what kind of area it is and what kind of street it is. They'd be like, no, this is more of a crappier area. Like, I don't care if the rent's that much. I'm just going to draw bad tenants in, whatnot. As long as you're still going through that screening process and you're putting the proper tenants in place, the area is actually not that bad.
And I'll honestly say, out of all the tenants, they keep our property the nicest.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Like, really nice.
And they're from Haiti, so
yeah. Sad.
Props to the foreigners.
Yeah. I don't know, that popped up in my head.
Yeah. That's a good example. I can't really think of any more cons of being in your own backyard. Honestly, there's not much to it. I feel as though 99% of it's going to be pros.
Yeah. Now, like going to, let's say you're in the state of South Carolina and all these laws are popping up. And PA, eventually going to get there. Like those types of states, eventually you're going to have to adapt and branch out. So that's something.
It's true.
That if you live there, you got to think about.
Right. Every state does have its own laws. Like, I'm pretty sure Texas doesn't allow double closes. Like you said, South Carolina and Chicago and now Pennsylvania are all implementing these new restrictions on wholesalers and just making sure everything's disclosed, which if you missed our last episode, go check it out because we go through and discuss all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, if that's something that you're not able to adapt to, then going to a new market would have to be a requirement for you.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I would say if you're capable of moving to whatever market you choose, that's probably going to be the best case scenario. Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think overall, so like just breaking it down, wholesaling, for me, like I think it's best start in your own backyard, scale that up a little bit, get comfortable with that, and then maybe go virtual.
Yeah.
And then for, let's say, fix and flips, honestly, I feel like for everything, even rentals, just start in your own backyard. And then if you want to branch out, if you have the systems in place, then go for it.
There's a saying, buyers are liars and sellers are worse. Right. So if you are trying to do strictly virtual, and you're on the phone with a seller, they could be telling you one thing and it's a completely different situation. You're not going to know. You could get this property locked up to what you think is a discount until you actually have a buyer go out there, a couple buyers go out there, check it out. They're like, dude, this property is not worth nearly as much as what you're asking for. You're then going to realize like, oh, that seller lied to me about the condition and the price of which I'm asking is obviously too high. Now you're wasting buyers' times, building bad relationships with them, and it can definitely become more of a headache.
Most definitely.
So,
and
what are...
go ahead. No, you go first.
I was going to just move on to what are the pros of investing outside your market? Your backyard, I should say.
Pros. I feel like we kind of touched on it with higher assignment fees if you're going to bigger markets.
That's true.
Working from anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I mean, who doesn't like the idea of laying down on the beach, getting a call, locking up a deal, making $50,000?
Yeah.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah, a great life right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, Skyler and I had a point, I believe it was last year, we connected with REI Call Center. Shout out to them. If you guys need a cold caller, I'll make sure to leave the link down below so you can get a good discount. But we got a caller. We were like, it would be great to start in a new market, and we chose Maryland.
We did.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's our bordering state. So from us, we are more South Central PA.
Yeah.
So it's about an hour drive straight to the border. We're like, if it's a deal that looks like it's good enough, you know, one of us are more than willing to drive a little over an hour if need be, just to go check it out, make sure everything's good, go on that appointment, you know, everything that's required for that.
Yeah. So, you know, we started pulling lists, marketing, stuff like that, had our cold caller call. Yeah, everything was good. We were getting leads in the pipeline, but I don't know, like, nothing was really panning out for us. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, we were making the follow-up calls. We were doing everything we needed to do. You would go out on some of the appointments. I remember I went out on one appointment to look at a gas station or something. Like, it was so random.
I remember that. That was the commercial property.
Yeah, it was a commercial property. And I was like, this isn't even worth it. Like, we drove all the way just to see this piece of dunk, you know?
Yeah, I think in total, honestly, there's probably a minimum of 10 different appointments that I went on in Maryland. And
we locked up one property that didn't end up panning out.
Oh, Hagerstown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, definitely. Then, yeah. I forget what went wrong. Did we market that one? We just didn't get any hits, or how did that end up going?
So the seller tried to negotiate with us, basically saying, you can do a storage unit.
Oh,
and
he was trying to get us to develop it.
Yeah, we were thinking about possibly doing that, but it was right beside railroad.
Yeah, railroad literally ran through the property.
Yeah, so it was just a little bit iffy. And then I think we did market it out to buyers, but we just didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of downhill.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I did end up having one solid lead out there, which I was super excited for. We agreed upon a price of $125. ARV was $280. It needed like $30,000 worth of work. Like, not much at all. I was like, I went down there, I made that appointment, I was there, had the contract in hand, like, set it up perfectly, everything was good to go. And then I was like, all right, like, sign here. He's like, I'm not signing anything today. What do you mean? It was like, I gotta take this to my lawyer first, or my attorney, or whoever he was working with. I was like, okay, like, yeah, you know, get back to me as soon as you hear something from them, and we're good to go. Followed up day after day after day after day. Finally, he hits me, he's like, yeah, I got another offer for $140. I'm moving with that one instead. Paper's already signed. I'm just like, dude, all right. Yeah. Which, I mean, that can very well happen in any market. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean just because it was a out-of-state area that's the reason that happened. But, you know, time is money. The more time you're spending on actually going on these appointments, the more, you know, it hurts whenever a deal doesn't go through.
Yeah. And now looking back on it, I think why we probably weren't successful within that market was probably because we didn't have enough volume, because we just had one caller that was part-time calling over there.
That's true.
So even though we were getting leads in the pipeline, like, this is a volume business.
Yeah.
And we just felt, this marketing strategy isn't working.
Right. I think
so let's just focus on, you know, Harrisburg.
Right, exactly. I think we tried to jump into another market too soon before.
Fast, too.
Yeah, before we were experienced enough to really understand, like, locking these deals up over the phone. Just in case it was a deal in that scenario, you could have sent them a DocuSign right then and there, be like,
Yeah.
go ahead, review it, get it signed, everything else. But, you live and you learn, right? What else? I mean, we did also do Delaware. I had a couple appointments out there. We had several appointments in the Philly, Westchester area. Once again, though, nothing.
And the drives were annoying.
The drives are
It's like driving 2 hours just for them to say they want this. Numbers don't pan out.
Right. Where it's a lot easier in Harrisburg. Like, we can go bust out 3 to 4 appointments a day. And that's even after I just got done working a full-time job and, not be overwhelmed with the amount that I've been in my car and tired out from just driving that entire time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a bonus when it comes to, just time management and energy levels.
Yeah, that's why we prefer the backyard.
We do. I'm sure at some point again soon, we will definitely be branching out into other markets just to continue to grow, change that volume. But yeah, especially now that Pennsylvania is changing some of the restrictions, it's something that we're probably going to have to talk about here soon, consider. Yeah, starting your own market. It's easier.
Comment down below if you are a virtual wholesaler, like if you're, in your market or if you're out of your market. Just curious to see like the difference between how many people are virtual wholesaling or flipping or have rentals versus how many people are within their backyard.
Yeah. I will say another pro of actually long distance investing is sometimes your market is too expensive for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you own a primary residence. Your mortgage is 1/3 of your paycheck every month, or however that works. I forget the criteria there. Anyways, and you simply just don't have enough money for a down payment on one of these properties. Where you're more of a traditional investor, you're not looking to somehow find enough discounted deal to get into this property for $0, which is something we've been blessed with being able to do. And you have to come to the table with 20, 25% down. A lot of times, these people just don't have the money for that. So if you are still looking to generate that cash flow, own real estate, have the tax deductions, everything else like that, sometimes it's more of a bonus into jumping to one of the cheaper markets. And it doesn't even have to be that far. Like, you go outside of Metro an hour away and you can find a reasonably priced area to invest in. So you're able to grow and scale a little bit faster doing it that way.
Yeah.
On a side note, we are actually in the process, I don't know if you guys heard of school, going through Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
We are in the process of creating our own school. We're creating classes right now, going over every step-by-step tactical way of our wholesale process, as far as kind of what we just discussed. Picking your market is one of them.
Diving deeper on it.
Yeah, diving deeper on it for sure. And then hiring VAs, training VAs, pulling lists, sales training, scripts, and then we go into rehabs. There's absolutely everything. So if that's something you guys are interested in.
Your first rental property?
How to buy your first rental property. Very true. It's not completed yet, but we're in the process of creating that, and it's something we're going to actually be working on again as soon as we get done off of here. So, it intrigues you, and there's a lot of bonuses that come with it.
Yeah.
Where it's not 100% set up yet, so I'm not going to say absolutely everything, but there will be some one-on-one calls as well incorporated with it. So if that's something you're interested in, talking to young investors like ourselves, really understanding our experience and, us giving you helpful tips, then please feel free to check it out and we'll let you know as soon as that launched.
Most definitely.
So jumping back into it though, pros and cons, whatnot, choosing different markets. Whenever you are finally starting to grow and scale your company a little bit more, it comes time for you to hire VAs, right? So you're trying to build that team up and really get them trained on generating you these outbound leads, I should say.
Yeah.
Now, when training a VA to cold call in your own backyard, are you going to train them differently than if it was a completely different market that you're not familiar with?
For a VA, we would train them. I don't know.
Yes, you do. We've done this.
No, for the VA, I feel like we train them the same, but like I feel like you could compare that to like an in-house person.
I'd say there's a couple differences for sure whenever you're training a VA for your own market versus not your market. There's a couple phrases that we use whenever we are cold calling within the Harrisburg region that we would not use in a separate market. such as, hey, I was just driving around the area. I noticed your property on 123 Main Street.
You could still use that though.
You could, but it's not going to be recommended. Be like, because then they can ask you questions about it, everything else, which our VAs, they're pretty familiar with Harrisburg. Granted, they've never been here, but they've been working our market long enough to really have a deep understanding of it. And that's not something that we told them to say right away. It's kind of something we incorporated later on once they understood what we're working in. But for a VA that's working, long distance, or I shouldn't say long distance, doing marketing
overseas.
No. See, that's what I thought people wouldn't understand, but that's not what I meant.
Oh.
Obviously, all VAs are going to be overseas, but I'm saying if they're cold calling somewhere outside of your personal market,
right,
not your own backyard, there's going to be different questions kind of associated with it, such as one of the scripts that we're now implementing into our company for that long distance VA is letting the seller know up front, like, hey, I have a couple buyers out in your area. I'm just looking to see if there's any way I could help you with your property, seeing if you're looking to sell, and then going about it that way and kind of introducing the fact that you're not the one purchasing this property right away, but you can definitely help them by getting a cash offer because some other buyers out in that way.
And I think we could utilize the script we use now in another market because that's what we did in Maryland. But
that's true.
I feel like what we're branching out is making sure we have the right sales process and the systems in place and just trying something new, just adapting to different things to see what sticks out, what works, and what we can grow upon. But yeah, I feel like in regards to VAs, it's not too much of a difference.
Because they're long distance no matter what.
Yeah, I think the difference would be a VA versus having in-person employees. What's, better in regards to that. So like with our business, we have everyone's a VA except for us.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's overseas except for us.
Yeah.
And it's great because we can go on those appointments and everything like that. But I think once we go to scale and we want to kind of step back from the business, then we'll have someone that's going to be, acquisitions or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Or, dispo. But
sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So I would say, is there, from the jump, someone I feel like it's best to hire that VA because it's going to be cheaper per se than having that in-person employee coming in-house because you may not even have an office. They may just be working from home and just being from home, like by yourself.
It depends what the role is too.
Yeah. If you're dispo, you may just be out.
And like if they're a cold caller, I personally don't believe you should have any cold callers that work within the U.S. Just because they're doing the same exact task that a VA can do. A VA can do just as well as them. Like some of our VAs are frankly better than me on the phone.
They sound better than me.
Exactly. They sound better than us sometimes. And that's just because we do go over a rigorous training period with them and still have our Zoom calls daily with them, going over their previous calls and tips and tricks and different tonalities they can use, everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that having an in-house, which I know a lot of our competition is going to disagree with because they have in-house cold callers, I just don't think that's something that's necessary personally.
Yeah, you do waste a lot of money. It's not waste because it's still an investment, but a lot of the
overhead
expenses.
The overhead is highly increased when it doesn't need to be.
Right.
That's still something that you're able to kind of budget on. If you are hiring in-house and you're at that point, then I would definitely use them on a more high task role, right? So as if they were acquisitions, they want to go on those appointments, that's something they can do. If they want to be closers, same situation there. Like you can go meet them in person. It's a whole lot easier than doing it over the phone. Project managers, financials, any of that, which even finances you can do, hire a VA. But in case you want to leave it in-house, so it's a little more trustworthy, I feel a little safer doing it that way.
In-house, yeah. Probably the best.
Definitely. What else comes along with marketing, or not marketing necessarily, but long-distance investing versus backyard?
I think we covered it all.
There's definitely so much we're missing. I just can't think of it. So we talked about different price differences. We talked about the hiring process and training process for assistants.
Yeah.
We talked about pros and cons of your own market, pros and cons of long distance markets. Oh, son of a bitch. Yeah, no, my mind's empty. I feel like that's...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we are missing stuff, but, you know.
But we had
Don't
to
get
ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this.
No, we can't cut this out yet. We only have 35 minutes. We have to keep going. You guys want to do it? You guys want to do a deal analysis?
What are we going to do a deal analysis on?
The 6-unit creative finance deal yesterday.
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I got them in my head. I'm just playing.
Yeah, I was saying that. I don't remember the numbers. We're running numbers on a couple of different properties, so.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't want to say too much, but something juicy.
Yeah, there's something big in the works. That's very exciting for us. Yeah. You just want to give like an update? On what...
Nah.
No? Oh, okay. No, that.
They're just gonna have to wait and
I'll see if you want to sponsor us.
Stay tuned. They're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's true. There is some exciting stuff though coming up. Seriously. Yeah. So can't wait for that. It's about to like triple our door count, possibly.
Mm-hmm. So on that note,
dude, I feel like we can't get 35
for this episode, and then maybe you guys can do another 20 minutes on a totally...
We don't have a totally different topic, though. Honestly, this isn't bad. 36 minutes. It's not bad. That do it this short? Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like I'm clouded. Because you bringing up the VA stuff, I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like... Yeah, that could have been it. So,
I feel...
Yeah, as long as it's... I think just end it. Because it's going to get boring. I don't want it to drag out and get boring.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Back in action.
We rolling?
But yeah, so we're going to end it on that note. So make sure you guys go subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Let us know if you are wholesaling or doing investing virtually or in your own backyard. And yeah, anything else you have to say?
This video is going to take some editing. No, I mean, quite frankly, I know that this episode is shorter than the ones we typically do.
Yeah.
Stefanie and myself are not too experienced when it comes to out-of-state investing, and that's honestly why we don't really know all the fine details of it. So we're going to explain what we know and as much as we can. But like I said, we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the school training, so feel free to check that out. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna cut this one a little bit short, but I hope you guys enjoyed, gained some valuable knowledge that you can carry into your business, and or if you're creating your business, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like button. We're trying our best to educate you as much as possible, as long as just share our experience.
And I know we talked about, getting a cold caller. So if you guys, like I said, do need a cold caller, I'll make sure to leave a link down below in regards to REI call center. But with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.